Welcome to the Redirect Podcast. My name is Abigail Hewins.
And I'm Emily Rojas. The Redirect Podcast is a show where we shift the conversation back to books. We'll discuss themes from some of our favorite books and how those themes show up in real lived experiences.
On today's Reading Rewind episode, we're discussing The Giver.
But first, if you've been enjoying the podcast, we would humbly ask that you support us in a few very simple ways. You can first leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and just let us know that you're loving the show.
We'd also love for you to follow us on Instagram at Redirect Podcast. And finally, if you really like the show, we'd love for you to share it with a friend. Sharing our show with a friend is by far the best way to help us grow our community of book-loving nerds.
Yes, and thank you for being here today as we're talking about Lois Lowry's book, The Giver. I'm assuming it's Lois.
Yes, Lois.
Yeah.
Because whenever I was 12, I was really stupid. I thought Lois was a boy's name. So
Yes.
because I was like, oh, someone wrote a serious book. It must have been a boy because of all of the internalized misogyny.
Right. Naturally.
But then when I was literally, it took me probably till college to realize that Lois Lowry is a girl or woman.
I feel like, is Lois a gender neutral name? Because I also thought it was a male author. And I think having a male protagonist, the book is very centered around men. There's not a lot of strong women characters. So I kind of just assumed that. I also thought, even now, I was reading more about this book, preparing for this episode, and it was kind of jarring to be like, oh, Lois Lowry, she wrote this book. Oh, yeah, it is a girl.
It is a unisex name. It is gender neutral.
It could go either way. But it probably is internalized misogyny too. But also, I think, I don't know. It's always kind of jarring when a woman writes a male protagonist or when a man writes a woman protagonist. There's nothing wrong with it. I feel like people can do whatever they want. But I feel like I always assume that the author is the same gender as whatever the protagonist character is. Maybe that's just me.
Yeah. I also think that, and we'll get into it.
Yeah.
But I think that maybe Jonas was written through the female gaze.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's get into it.
Yeah, let's get some context on the book. So the book, The Giver, is a middle grades book, published in 1993, written by Lois Lowry. Emily, can you think off the top any other books written by Lois Lowry that were also middle grades around this era?
A lot. And I was just researching this for this episode. It's not really a quiz, but I can't even remember. There's something like Counting the Stars.
Yeah, Number the Stars.
Number the Stars.
That was a book that I think a lot of teachers assigned in 5th grade to learn about the Holocaust.
Yes. I never read that one. Personally, we did Anne Frank Diary instead, I guess. Mm-hmm. So that's maybe the other option. But I do remember hearing about that one. And I think she's written a lot more, but I think this and Counting the Stars are her most well-known works. Yeah.
I think The Giver is probably her most favorite. It's highly awarded. It won the Newbery Honor Award. But it also has the award that is not really an award, but kind of the badge of honor of being one of the most banned books of the era that it came out in.
That tracks.
Which I didn't know before the reread. But as I read it, I was like, oh, this is probably banned.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. It makes perfect sense.
Yeah. So, overview of the plot, Emily. What is this book about for the uninitiated?
So this book takes place in a sort of dystopian, probably near-ish future, kind of probably the first of that genre to really gain popularity, I would guess. But now we kind of know this as a very common young adult or early reader trope is this dystopian world. But in this world, everything's black and white. So everyone sees everything in black and white. It's kind of utopian almost in the sense that there's really no problems. There's no divorce. There's not really death. What we know as death, they call release, which is kind of a euthanasia type thing, which we can talk more about. But every year, every child goes through a ceremony up until the age of 12, which I would love to talk more about the fact that they're all 12 in this book, because that obviously did not hit me when I was probably around that age reading this book, how young it is. But so once they get up to age 12, they're assigned their jobs for the rest of their life. And there's all kinds of different things they can do. They could be taking care of babies, taking care of old people, teaching, giving birth to babies. That's an option. And Jonas is our main character, and he kind of doesn't feel like he really fits in any of those lanes. And he is assigned the task of being the new receiver for the community. And so the receiver, he finds out, is the person who keeps all the memories of everything kind of before this utopian society. So he has all the memories of war, of weather, because they don't have weather in this world, of colors, because they don't have colors. So he has all these memories, and he has to pass them on. And it's kind of like a sage, wise guy in the community. So if the council of elders ever needs to make a decision, they can go to this receiver who has all this knowledge, all the wisdom of everything that's ever happened, I guess, is what we assume. And he can advise them on things. So that's kind of the setup, is that he is going to be this new receiver, and he has to take on all of these memories.
And one other component I will add is that they have very like blunted or like muted feelings to things, because they take this pill every day that basically is like, you start taking it when you start getting horny, and it like when you're like,
yeah,
they call it the stirrings, which
Sure.
is probably another reason this is banned, even though there's nothing, and I repeat, nothing sexually explicit about this book.
No.
But there's no love in marriage, there's no
you're
real,
just assigned your spouse, you're assigned
there's
two
not really
children.
love to your kids.
Yes.
It's just kind of like respect or care or admiration, but through the transfer of memories, which is why it's called the giver, because he's the receiver and then the former receiver is giving to him. He learns about love and family, and it kind of sets up this escape, because they start asking questions like, don't the people in this society deserve to have these memories? Like, is it really ethical for us to withhold them?
To think about a life with none of that, and then to get all of it at once, is kind of like extremely traumatizing, I would think. Like,
Totally.
You feel like Jonas is suffering from like PTSD throughout this book, because he's physically experiencing like starvation and war and murder and all these horrible things. And then he has to just go play with his other 12-year-old friends. And it's like, it's a completely foreign world all of a sudden. He doesn't know how to fit in anymore.
Yes. And so some of the themes that get brought up through the transfer of memories and what he's processing is like, with anything that's good and desirable, there are also ugly things and bad things. And that's just part of like being a human. He gets to see colors for the first time, but then he's like, what's wrong with colors? And they're like, racism.
Yeah. Low-key, let's talk about that. So in this world, everything is the same, and it's implied, well, it's explicitly stated, which I also didn't pick up on as a child, that basically they kind of exterminated black people.
Yeah.
Like, by genetic modification. I don't think they really exterminated them per se, but everyone is white in this world, and they have filtered out all racial differences, which is supposed to be good, but problematic for obvious reasons.
And so what Emily means by filtering out, what you mean is like, when the babies are born in this society, they are kept in like this nurturing center for the first year of their life. And those who kind of like have a failure to thrive are euthanized.
Correct.
And so it would be easy for them to eliminate physical differences. Because like a colorblind person can still tell if someone's a different race.
Right. That would be obvious. So
By
they have to get that out. Right.
Shades and
Yeah,
depth.
you can see dark and light in black and white world. So for sure.
So there's that.
Very chill.
Yeah. Again, probably one of the other. So let's kind of just reverse. Let's talk about some of the reasons this book was banned.
Sure.
So it started getting banned across America in 1995 due to themes including euthanasia, sexual content, which that was cited in multiple articles I read. I disagree.
Okay, but low-key, did he want to, did he have sexual feelings towards the old lady in his dream? Because when I was rereading this, I was like, wait a second. Okay, because if you haven't read the book or if you don't remember, there's one part where he has this dream, and every morning you have to confess to your family, whatever you dreamed about the night before. You have to share it with them. And he has this dream where he's bathing this old lady, and he says he feels this wanting, this intense wanting.
No, you're misremembering. In the dream, he's in that same setting, but Fiona is there.
Oh,
and he wants his friend Fiona
I definitely
to
misread
take a bath.
that.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
So
that
the day before,
makes more sense.
Yeah. So
Because I was... I read that last night. I was probably too tired. I read that and I was like, wait a second. Did he just say he wanted to have this old lady? Like he was...
No.
His stirrings?
He wanted Fiona to take a bath.
Okay, no, that makes more sense. My bad. Anyways.
Yeah.
Moving
his friend. On. So, yeah. No, that's funny, though.
I did read an AMA with Lois Lowry, and she said, I guess that I never watched the movie. We can get more into the movie later, I guess. But she said in the movie they had to take the scene out because the film people, not the dream, but actually bathing the old people, because the film people were like, this movie's going to get banned if we put this bath stuff in there. So apparently it is a hot topic to bathe old people.
Although I will say in the book, I thought it was kind of lovely that, so like low key, there are some good things about this society. Like, even though it's kind of messed up, like, you know, you really give a lot of dignity to the old and take care of them. Although
until you euthanize them,
But yeah. But like
they,
also people don't really realize who their grandparents are. Like, you don't really have grandparents, even though you kind of do. So like, yeah, but they take care of their old. Like, people are respected. There's no hunger.
Yes.
There's no class.
Yeah.
There's no hoarding of wealth, you know,
or anything. Yeah. There's no money. There's no, everything's the same. Everyone's equal. Everything is exactly the same. Everyone receives the same kind of life. So, you know, there's definitely, I think that's the problem, is like what Jonas is wrestling with. It's like he sees the horrible things of humanity, the worst things, but then also without those things, you don't have any of the love. Like, they don't, like you said, as soon as in this world, as soon as you reach adulthood, your parents go off to live with the childless adults and you never see them again. And Jonas is like, wait a second, I guess my parents had parents. Like, that never occurred to me. And so you're completely divorced from any love or really intense feelings at all. So, you know, it's good and bad, I guess, but mostly not good, probably.
I think, the big theme of the book is that you can't have good without the bad. And you conversely can't have bad without good.
Yeah. So anyways, I don't really get why this book was banned, but I think I don't know. I feel like...
Oh, also infanticide. That was another reason, because...
Well, yeah, but that's like the point.
I know. It felt like... And also, like, in the defense of the book,
sure,
the people who are committing the quote-unquote infanticide, like euthanizing children who have a failure to thrive, which is terrible, in their world, they don't know that that's bad.
Right. So, and to be clear, they're not even... It's not like they're
it's like
dying.
an injectable.
No, but it's not like the babies are, you know, extremely premature and not going to make it. They're just maybe, you know, crying too much or a little underweight. You know, it's not something where you're like, okay, maybe that was humane. No, it's
No.
It's just getting rid of them.
But because these people don't have a concept of life or of death or, you know, the right to, like, pursue happiness or whatever, like... it's just it's a utilitarian thing. Yeah, so to them it's like, oh, this is just like part of what I do. And it's not, so Jonas eventually gets to watch a tape of one of these, and with the knowledge that he has acquired through the Giver, is heartbroken about it. So through understanding death and pain and war and famine and hunger, he's able to understand why it's really sad when a child is quote unquote released. Yeah, it's really a bummer. And to be able to pack that all in to a children's book. That is very short. It's not long. It's like 200 pages. Right, but and the font is big. Yeah, it's double spaced. Yeah. I mean, that's why this book is amazing, because the way that she was able to do that at a children's reading level, right, in such a short amount of time, to like make adults who reread this book really think is really amazing.
Yeah. So how did you feel, I guess, segue, how did you feel rereading this? What did you think it was going to be like when you went into this reread? And then, what was your initial impressions after rereading it?
Well, I think I've mentioned on this podcast before that when I read this as an assignment in middle school in like 6th grade, I think, it was like really opened my eyes. It was like the first book I ever read that really made me think about stuff and has always been one of my favorite books. I've reread it a couple times over the years. When I reread it this time, I honestly was thinking about myself reading it for the first time. But I still took a lot away from it. Like, there was definitely things I forgot. Like, I forgot some of the specifics of the memories. I forgot a bunch of stuff. But I really enjoyed it. And I thought it really held up. And whenever I started researching about like the bans, and it made me think about books like this being banned, and that kind of made me angry because I feel like this has a lot to teach. And I think that like, even though this is like a kind of intense children's book, I don't think it's too much for like a kid to digest. So, I would recommend it. Like, I'm glad I read it when I was 11.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think maybe this is part of why it gets banned, but something in, again, that AMA I was reading with Lois Lowry, she said that she really wanted to tap into the feelings you have when you're 12 or around that age of wanting to make a difference in the world and wanting to feeling like maybe helpless, like you can't do anything. So she wanted to really empower this 12-year-old protagonist to have the ability to make those changes and kind of take control into his own hands and stuff like that. And so I think maybe that's why it partially why it gets banned, because I think a lot of times adults maybe don't want kids to feel that way or something. But I think that's probably, I remember really liking this as a kid as well. And I think that's part of why, because when you're that age, you feel so powerless and like no one's taking you seriously. And then you get to read this book where Jonas is taken very seriously by the giver or the former receiver. He's taken seriously by
honored.
Yeah, he's honored by his society. And ultimately, he makes a decision in the end to do something that is going to impact his entire society and hopefully help them and save them and give them a different life. And so I think, that's part of the bannings, but that's also probably why I think children of that age really enjoy this book and why it is a good book for them to read. And so I agree. I would recommend it. And I don't want it to be banned.
That's an amazing point. Good insight. I think we talked about this a little bit in our dystopian episode. Why is this a popular genre, especially for young adult books? Because when you're a young adult, things are just happening to you, and your ability to effect change feels extremely limited, and you feel powerless, and you don't really have the resources or money to like create your own life. So this is like an amazing outlet where you can imagine yourself trying to like take back power and control.
Right. And I think much like Jonas on a much smaller scale around this age is when you start to learn about the bad things in the world. You learn about maybe famine in other places or slavery or, war. Yeah. If you live in Florida, but that's the point I'm making is I think we're in a place, on a smaller scale, but in a very real sense, much like this book, there are people who want the world to be like this society and where everything's the same and everyone has the same access to things and no one gets any ideas. But also I think it's important, and the whole message of this book is it's important to learn about these things. It's important to be exposed to different things. And that's the only way you can really experience the fullness of life, but also make change in life. And so I think it makes perfect sense, I guess, why this would be banned, because if you read this book, if they're going to ban books, they're going to ban a lot of them. And if you read this book and you're like, wait, why are they banning so many books? Like, it would really make you question what books are being banned and why. And so, this is just a precautionary book ban, maybe. Like, let's not have kids asking any questions about why we're banning all these other books.
Yeah, so the reasons cited are euthanasia, sexual content, and infanticide, but the real reason, perhaps, is we don't want you getting any ideas.
Yeah, we're trying to do this to you, and we don't want you to realize what we're trying to do to children.
And the especially ironic thing is that there's a huge theme in this book about book bannings.
Exactly.
Because when Jonas starts getting trained to be the receiver, he goes into like the current receivers or the givers like library or like study. And there's the shelves lined with books. And he's like, what could possibly be in all of these books? Like the only books we have in my house are like manuals to like the city. And like, he's like, oh no, these are like all of the books from everywhere. And we're the only ones who get to read them.
Right.
Because we don't want people, basically, like, if there's free thought, people will get ideas, and not everything can be the same. And
yeah, like the giver apparently has a spouse and a child, which we'll talk about that plot twist reveal, which I didn't remember. But he has a spouse who isn't allowed to live with him because he lives with all these books, and she's not allowed to be exposed to the books. So yeah, basically he has to just live by himself because she can't even be in the room with the books.
Yeah.
So he has to have his own domicile away from her.
Yeah, it's so clearly the people who are trying to be people who are trying to ban this book didn't even really understand the book.
Yeah,
because it talks about the danger of banning books.
Yeah, like Ron DeSantis read this book and was like, I don't see the problem with this society.
He was like, sounds like a good idea to me. But except people like I was thinking that, and I'm like, but you know what? The thing is, the people like him, like in this society, there's no wealth hoarding. So I mean, this isn't like alluded to in the book at all, but I'm like, I wonder what this society was like before this book, like got to the point where people decided, oh, we should do this. Because another thing that's alluded to in the book is that there are many communities like this, but there's also elsewhere, and elsewhere they don't live like this.
Right.
So this is like a closed off community that keeps itself away from the rest of the world.
Right. That was one of my, not even critiques of the book. I don't really have much to critique, but if I had to say anything, I wish there was more backstory to this book. I think if it had been like, this is very clearly late elementary school, middle school aged book level reading. I think if it had been a little more in the YA genre, aimed more towards high schoolers or around a little older, I think we could have gotten a lot more of, because I had so many questions. Like you said, what was the society like before? What led to this point? How did they get people on board with it? You know, how did they find out that one guy can just absorb all these memories with his hands? Yeah. I don't know how that works, but
these are the questions I want answered in like the more mature version of this.
Yes, book. I would love an extended, maturized version of this, or a prequel about the giver's life that, we could get his whole thing.
I feel like we've said this in every one of our Reading Rewind episodes. It's like, what would we want if this was an adult book?
Yeah.
Like, I want to know more about the backstory. I want to know more of the dynamics between the spouses. Like,
yes.
Is there any discontent between, like, do people feel discontent when they're paired with a spouse that they don't really like?
Yeah. And what are these pills? I really wanted to know more about the pills. Obviously, they're just like dulling your senses or something, or, I don't know what the word I'm looking for. Yeah, they're completely kind of, desensitizing you to everything. But I wanted to know, what exactly are they? And do they just make you like chill and happy all the time? Or, do they ever have any kind of frustrations or anything that upsets that equilibrium? I don't know.
Yeah, so we didn't say this, but Jonah stopped taking the pills.
Yes.
So he's able to start like feeling things.
Yeah, feeling his life. Did you know that there are sequels to this though?
I didn't realize that until I went to borrow this from Libby and I saw it was like one of 4.
Yes. But apparently the next 3 kind of follow what happens next, and I think Gabriel, the baby. So at the end, Jonas takes this baby who's about to be euthanized, and who's his father, who's a nurturer of children, has been taken care of. He takes the baby and flees the community. And so he ends up, I thought, and I think initially it was thought that it was kind of an open-ended ending of, does he actually make it somewhere, or do him and Gabriel die on the journey? But she did write 3 more books where they did live, so I guess it's not really ambiguous anymore.
I wonder if there was a big time jump, because
I don't know exactly.
like not like between the books, but like from when she wrote them.
I do think there was. Because a lot of people, when I was researching this, were like, oh, I thought the ending was kind of ambiguous, but clearly it's not ambiguous. So there must have been, I feel like when we were growing up, there probably wasn't maybe a sequel. I don't know when she wrote it, but I did see a lot of positive comments about the sequels, that people really liked them. So that's kind of unusual. I feel like that's, I feel like normally when there's that big time gap, I feel like we've talked about this before, that's a red flag that it might not be that good.
Yeah.
So I was like, maybe I'll go ahead and read the rest of the series now, because I kind of want to know what happened to little baby Gabriel and Jonas, and find out about elsewhere. But I don't think it didn't sound like they gave any additional backstory on the initial community. So I would really like to know more about that, because
I'll give her prequel. It's
such a, like you said, for such a short book, the world building is kind of insane, and
it really
it's
is.
so fully realized and fleshed out in such a short amount of time that I would love to learn more.
And not in a way where it's like, okay, the first third of the book is just like exposition and just like stating stuff, because that is one of my pet peeves about books.
Yeah,
like,
that sucks.
when the whole first third of the book is just like, and this is why this exists. Like, show me, don't tell me.
That's bad writing.
This book does not tell, it only shows, and I love that. Like, it's so good for such a short book, and to write at an elementary level. It's just like,
yes,
this book that's an incredible feat to be able to do.
Yes, it was very impressive, and I don't think there's a lot of books, as we learned with Little House on the Prairie, but I'm sure with others, I don't think there's a lot of books that would hold up this well. But I really enjoyed reading it as an adult, and I thought it held up very well, even though this is older than us. Like, this book was written before we were born. Now to read it as adults, it's impressive how well it holds up and how much I enjoyed reading it. I don't know. When I read Little House on the Prairie, I was kind of like, oh, God, when will this be over? But
I know, this was like
this was really enjoyable. Yeah. I wanted to keep reading. So
I think, like, of the Rewind books that we've done, I mean, we didn't read Are You There, God, It's Me, Margaret when we were kids, but that's really good too. I feel like these are in a tier of children's books that deserve the hype.
Yes, this was worth the hype, definitely. And this means you had good taste as a kid.
And I think this is a recommended reading. Like, this is like if I was a parent or just a mentor,
right?
Of like, and I was recommending books to my middle schooler, I would add this in with Are You There, God, It's Me, Margaret.
Absolutely.
Because that is required reading. Absolutely. But I think this is also required reading.
I think it should be. It's a really good book. It's well done. I like the themes. Yeah.
10 out of 10.
I loved it. 10 out of 10. Also, I thought it was really disturbing. I have some minor notes. Mm-hmm. First of all, they had a baby named Caleb who died. They briefly touch on that. And then that family gets a new baby a couple years later, and they name the new baby Caleb again. Like, they recycled the name. That was insane. But also, I've been doing my Ancestry.com. I got the free trial. And if you go back a long time, sometimes there'll be, at least in my family history, I guess, there'll be like baby Mary, and she'll have died, before she was a year old or something. And then there'll be another Mary. So they just do that in the old times too. So maybe it's not that far-fetched.
What?
I just had to share that because I was reading that. I'm like, wait, what? They just renamed the baby Caleb? But then I remembered that I have found that in like the, 1600s or something. Maybe they didn't have as many names back then, so they had to recycle.
Okay, I'm trying to figure out how to share this story without revealing too many details. But let's use the name Mary as an example.
Sure.
But let's actually say it's a much more unique, like, okay, what's like a derivative of the name Mary? Like, Murray. Okay. Okay. So I know somebody who they had a baby that unfortunately was stillborn. And they named that baby Murray. As an example.
Sure.
And it was horribly sad, obviously,
Yeah.
as any stillborn situation is. And a couple of years later, some of their friends had a baby and named it Murray.
No, absolutely not. That is because I thought you were going to say they had another baby and named it Murray.
No,
and I'm
no,
like,
no, no, no.
you know, maybe people process grief differently and maybe that's
No, no, no,
helpful. But no, your friend, I don't care if you've had that name on your whiteboard since you were 8. You can't do that. You can't do that.
And I don't know all the specifics. It's possible that they could have had permission. Maybe
Still.
they asked. Still, it's a weird thing because I don't want to reveal what the actual name is because
Sure,
that seems uncool. But it's very specific and unusual.
Yeah. So
It's very specific
clear.
and unusual.
Yeah. No, absolutely not. I think that's a friendship ending situation.
It's definitely weird because let me tell you, anytime I see anything posted from the friends about their baby and I see the name, it makes me think of the other people's baby.
Yeah, of course.
Like
Because
that is what pops in my head every time.
I just feel like a name is such a, maybe in this world, that's why it makes sense. Because it's like everything's the same. You're just given a name. Your parents don't even name you like the community does. So maybe it's not as meaningful, but I feel like in our society, names are very specific and chosen. Important and chosen with a lot of thought. And so, no, that's mad weird.
Yeah.
Also, I thought it was weird that they're making 12-year-olds birth mothers. That was really disturbing to me as an adult.
Yeah,
Obviously, they're not instantly going to give birth, I don't think. It seems like
they're
they
in
go
training.
through. But it doesn't seem like a lot of years of
But
training.
you know what? Let me say this. I think it was interesting because there's not supposed to be like any like classes in this society.
Right.
But they look down on the birth mothers.
Very much. I thought that was interesting, too.
They look down on the birth mothers.
They're like, that is a job with no honor.
Yeah. So there is kind of even like, pushing through and like pervading all of the barriers they have. There still are elements of class.
Definitely. And I think the honor piece is a really big part of this book.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought overall held up really well. Liked it.
We love it.
What did you think though about, this is the part that maybe didn't hold up as well for me. Not even hold up, but I had questions. What did you think about the ending where the giver's like, you have opened my eyes to realize that this society is bad? Like, it felt, I think it's just the nature of it being kind of a short book because I do think the events took place over about a year, but the book is so short, you don't really get that development. So it felt like you've been the giver or the receiver all this time. You knew all this stuff. You had the same knowledge, but this little guy showing up, that's what opens your eyes. It just seemed very sudden or kind of weird. I don't know.
I mean, maybe part of it is like just the burden of being, because you're not allowed to share these memories with anyone until Jonas comes along. He's constantly consumed with just the burden of handling all of these memories that he doesn't really have the capacity to like think through if other people should have them.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Or like talk to, like, I think that's another component of the society is that things are kept secret. So, you don't really like philosophize with other people.
Sure. You don't really.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. That was kind of just like, in the adult version, I'd like that explained more.
Yeah, because also previously to Jonas, there was another person chosen to be the new receiver.
Yeah.
A girl, and it was actually the giver's daughter, Rosemary, played by Taylor Swift in the movie.
Oh, yeah. What the heck?
And anyways.
I blocked that out.
Yeah, me too. But anyways, she actually ends up requesting to euthanize herself, so committing suicide essentially in this world because she just can't take it. And I'm like, that didn't change her mind that maybe this isn't the best system, but this random little guy did. I don't know. That was the only thing that was kind of questionable. Yeah, just kind of, I don't know. I just wish there had been more, but you can't only do so much if it's written for, that young age group. So I think I'm complaining about something that isn't really fixable, but
yeah,
it was really interesting. Did you ever watch this movie?
I must have, but I don't think I ever rewatched it.
Yeah, I've never
Meryl
seen the
Streep,
movie.
isn't it?
Yes. Well, I bought this. I had to buy this book because it wouldn't get here in time on Libby, and the version that was cheapest on Amazon was the movie tie-in version. So there was like interviews with Taylor Swift in the back with the guy who plays Jonas. Yeah, and she was talking about how it was kind of hilarious. She was like, I don't do a lot of movies. I have to wait for the right script.
Okay.
And it's like this movie.
Wait, Taylor Swift said that?
Yes.
Okay. What do you did Valentine's Day? You did this.
Cats.
Okay.
Like, I don't necessarily think I love Swiftie. I'm a Swiftie, but I don't think you're making the best choices, Taylor, when it comes to movies. I think this movie was pretty not liked. The others you've been in, not so good. Mm-hmm. I don't think this is your field. The acting, it's maybe not for you. Anyways, She played Rosemary in this adaptation, and I never saw the movie, so I can't really comment on that, but...
I scrubbed it from my brain.
Yeah, but I don't think it was necessarily a hit, per se. So go listen to our episode on book-to-screen adaptations if you want more talk about movie adaptations and how they often do the original source material dirty. But it did sound like from, again, that AMA, which I highly recommend, go find it, Lois Lowry was not very involved. They basically she said that she could like watch the tapings and she was able to read the script, but they didn't really ask her for any input.
She's not a credited writer?
No, she had no.
Okay, that's a red flag to me.
Yes, because I don't think. Yes, I do not think the author should write the script. I'm looking at J.K. Rowling. I don't think the Fantastic Beasts movies are at all good in any way.
No. Advisor, though.
Yes, but I think they should have input. I definitely think they should, because they know it better than anyone. So they might be able to say, hey, I really think this scene is critical, that you find a way to put it in, or I just think at least have them have input.
Yeah, especially when you're working with The Giver.
Yes, it's such a beloved book, and she's such a talented writer, clearly, that please, should have let her have more say into it. But anyways, maybe I'll go watch the movie, and maybe I'll read the sequels after this episode.
Yeah. And maybe to just like put an end cap on this conversation about The Giver, I will share a quote from an interview with Lois Lowry talking about book banning.
Please
and
do.
Her thoughts about
it.
So
very timely discussion.
Yes. And maybe we should do a whole episode on banned books.
We actually should, yeah.
That would be a good idea.
That would be a great idea.
Okay, so she says, when asked about The Giver being banned, over 11,000 separate recorded challenges to The Giver on book lists. I think banning books is a very, very dangerous thing. It takes away an important freedom. Anytime there is an attempt to ban a book, you should fight it as hard as you can. It's okay for a parent to say, I don't want my child to read this book, but it is not okay for anyone to try and make that decision for other people. The world portrayed in The Giver is a world where choice has been taken away. It is a frightening world. Let's work hard to keep it from truly happening.
So get out there and vote. Don't ban books. Get involved. I don't know. Get involved with your local schools. Let kids read books.
Put books like The Giver in your little free libraries.
Yeah.
Share them far and wide.
Yeah. Love that. Great combo.
Okay. So, Emily, what's a book you read recently that you'd like to share about?
Well, first...
Hold on. Maybe, should we take like 2 minutes to like jointly discuss The Heart's Invisible Furies?
Well, I was going to say a book I had read, and then I was going to like briefly one book, and then I thought we could both talk about that book. But let's talk about it first if you want.
Okay. Yeah, let's talk about it first.
Okay. The Heart's Invisible Furies. We both read this by John Boyne. I don't even know what to say. I don't even have words.
Yeah. So it's a downer.
It's a major downer.
It is a major
one of
downer.
the saddest books I've ever read. Like, just consistent sadness.
Consistently. But but don't let that turn you away. Like, no. It's not only misery.
No. It's much like the point of The Giver. You cannot have joy, and you can't get to a place in your life. Like, your life is just shaping you to be who you are, and good things happen, bad things happen, and that's going to take you to where you need to be. So anyways, do you want to tell the plot of this book, a little overview for people who don't know?
What is the main character's name?
Cyril the squirrel.
Okay. Cyril. So this book is Irish as all hell.
Yes. Extremely.
Everything in it is super Irish. I even read it in an Irish accent. That's how Irish it is.
I know. Yeah.
So this is a book about a young boy that becomes a man named Cyril. And it's about how he was placed for adoption in Dublin and the situation of his mother, above his adoptive parents, who are very clear with him that they are his adoptive parents. And he discovers, as a young lad, that he is gay in a time when, and in a time and in a setting. So it's very important that this is happening in Ireland because of the huge Catholic nature of Ireland and the even slower than the United States and other places in the world of becoming cool with being gay. I mean, that's a big thing is it's
or just not murderous, at least
not
somewhat
imprisoning you for being gay.
Yes.
So this is the world he's coming up in. It's about, a relationship that he has with a friend. It's about one-sided romance. It's about his, the serendipity of his life, trying to reconnect with his birth mother. It is,
I'm going to cry just thinking about it.
There are multiple time jumps, which this is my only critique of the book, is that sometimes I'm even though it's a 582 page book, I felt like sometimes I was
more.
Hello, what happened in this 10 years that you just skipped?
Yes. It really is I think it's almost better to approach it as a anthology of short stories. Yeah. Because it's almost like the book it starts in a time and place, it gets to the climax, and then it instantly cuts off. And it does that every time. It starts somewhere, climaxes, and then time jump.
Which is actually, when I was reading it, I was like, oh, this needs to be a miniseries. Oh, this needs to be a limited series.
Yes.
And it actually is going to be eventually. So the rights have been purchased for it. So that's good.
Yes.
I forget by who, but when I mentioned the name to Zach, he was like, oh yeah, he's just been busy with other stuff. And then he named a bunch of projects he's working on.
Thanks, Zach.
So, whatever. Anyways, I cried so hard at the end of this book.
Yeah.
When I was sitting in bed reading it on my Kindle, and just by the Kindle light in the dark.
As you should.
And Zach is playing video games in the living room with his headphones on. And he hears my sobs over the sound of his video game. Gets up and comes in the room and is like, are you okay?
No.
And I am heaving, gasping.
Yeah.
I had to get up and drink a glass of water and calm down, kind of sad, sadness, but not necessarily sadness. It wasn't sad at the ending. It was just emotional. It was
so beautiful.
It's a beautiful ending.
I loved Cyril as a main character because he is so real. He's so real because there are times when you're so frustrated at what he's doing, or he's in the wrong, or he's doing something bad. But there are also times where your heart goes out to him and you just want to hug him. He just feels like a very real person.
And he's an idiot. He makes some huge mistakes.
Yeah.
He is not a perfect main character. He is an idiot. He does some stupid stuff. He does some really idiotic things. And,
but
it's just kind of showing his humanity.
Yes. He's a real person. There are beautiful, good things, and there are terrible, awful things, and there are just dumb things in between. And it's still, I don't know. Like you said, it's 582 pages. I wanted it to be longer. I never say that. I often feel 500 pages is the max a book should be. But this, it could have been longer and I would have been happy. There was so much to it. And like you said, it genuinely spans from before he is born until he is in his 70s and approaching the end of his life. Yeah. So it's a huge, it's just, I don't know. I loved it. I love a time jump. I love a book that takes place over decades. And this is all of that. And I don't know. It was devastating, but it was really good.
And this book was recommended to us by listener Alex.
Yes.
So
thank you.
Maybe
send us your recommendations.
You will recommend something and we will read it and we will talk about it.
It was so good. And I'm glad we both basically got it in on Libby at the same time. So we got to kind of read it together, which was really, it's always enjoyable.
Yeah, that is nice. All right. We had to talk about that.
Yeah. The other book I read recently, and we've actually talked about before because it was a reread, but I read Project Hail Mary again because we were talking about it so much. It held up. I don't know. I just thought sometimes you read a book and the excitement of reading a new book makes you really like it. But, then you're like, was that really a good book, or was it just the new book feeling? So on the reread, it's still 5 stars. It's by Andy Weir. We've talked about it, but it's a guy who is on this sort of Hail Mary mission to save Earth and maybe the entire solar system, low key, and
other solar systems,
and it's kind of a suicide mission. He doesn't really know that at first. You slowly learn all the details, but it's so, I mean, I cried again. I loved it. Like, it brought me to tears. It's surprisingly heartwarming for a very sci-fi book. So yeah, again, we've recommended this. And it's going to be a movie with Ryan Gosling as the star, which is, again, perfect. So
perfect casting.
I don't know how many times you have to talk about this book. If you haven't read it yet, please go.
Read it.
It's a great summer read, I think. Anyways, that's what I've read recently.
Well, I'm looking at my list of books I've read, and really, I spent a lot of time reading one book, and that book was The Count of Monte Cristo.
Drum roll.
Which took me a hot minute to read because it is 1,179 pages.
It's lengthy.
It is very long. But it was awesome.
Yeah.
You weren't lying.
I wasn't lying.
And I think I was actually pretty well. I didn't have a huge time hard time getting through it because I think I went into it with the mentality of I'm well prepared. I know that the middle is going to be a slog.
Yeah.
And it wasn't unenjoyable. The middle is not unenjoyable. It's not like it's boring. It's just you're kind of waiting for the things to happen.
Well, there's a certain point where, you spend so much time with Edmond Dantes as the main the only main character. He's kind of by himself for a while.
Yeah.
And then there is a point in the middle where it switches where he's not really as involved. And so that can be, it's the same thing with the Heart's Invisible Furies. When you have that kind of jump, either time period or to a new character, it can take some time to get back into it. But it's not boring.
He kind of switches to the background a little bit.
Yeah.
And so it's a little bit of, it's a little bit of an adjustment. But I didn't think that the middle was necessarily a slog, it was boring or bad or anything. It was just, it's long and it takes endurance.
Yeah.
I think one thing that helped me was I also got the audiobook. Mm. And so one thing and I never do this, but during the middle, because especially it's written in a language, that it's old-timey and it's you're not used to reading it. So I would put the audiobook on in the middle part.
Yeah.
On a pretty fast speed that would match the speed of my reading. And I would read it while listening to it, and it helped me
That's a great idea.
Stay engaged. And I felt it was helping me with the laziness, because I feel in some parts of the book I was I have to really think about what's happening. I can't I have to pay attention to what's going on. So it kind of gave my brain a break, but it was a way for me to really stay focused. I'm not just listening, I'm not just reading, but I'm doing both at the same time. So that helped me get through some parts of it. And the ending is beautiful, and it really has everything. And I got Zach to read it.
Nice.
Because he saw me reading it, and I kept wanting to be I really want to tell you what's going on. And he was no, I'm going to read it. And I was well, you have to now, because I'm not processing this with you. So he just started reading it. And he just got to the part where Edmund, is about to, go on his revenge quest.
Yes.
And so he's been telling me what's been going on. So it's really fun to be, an insider now.
I know. It's so good. So just give it a try out there, everyone. I think it's probably better for the winter times when there's nothing else to do as well, if you're looking for the prime time.
Yeah, it's not necessarily a huge straight summer read.
But read it anytime. Just pick it up. It's great. Now you have 2 endorsements.
Yeah.
It was good. So, yeah, there you go.
All right. Well, that
does it for this
episode. We'll see you next time.